Hello, welcome to Reading and Writing Skills. In this video, we will be talking about the patterns of development. And we have here 8 patterns of development, but we will first talk about the first 4 patterns of development. So, what is meant by pattern of development? It is the logical arrangement of ideas, and it refers to the particular strategy that the writers use to develop the ideas. So, a pattern of development are structures that the writers use to organize their ideas. As a writer, you have to be familiar with such so that you would know how to connect your ideas and provide enough details in your writing. So, it depends on what is your purpose. Please take note of that one. What is your purpose? If your purpose is to tell a story, if your purpose is to appeal to the reader's senses, or to explain the meaning of the word or a concept, you need to use different patterns of development for different purposes. Okay, so for you to further understand that one, let us first go through one by one of the patterns of development. First one, let us talk about definition. Maybe you already know what is meant by definition. Of course, from the root word define, you're trying to give the meaning of something. So, definition is a type of writing that explains not only what something means, but also what something does, what something is used for, and what something looks like. So, when your purpose in writing is to explain the meaning of a word or a concept, the best pattern of development that you will be using is the definition. So, you often encounter definition text, right? Especially when you browse reference books such as encyclopedia and textbooks. So, it is a type of writing, as I've told you, it will, the definition will help you distinguish other things from any other things in the world. A definition text is used not only to inform, but also it can use to entertain, that is by giving a humorous definition of a popular term, or you may want to define a term to enlighten people about a controversy as well. These are just some of the many ways you can make use of your skills in writing a definition text. Okay, so let us move on to the signal words that are commonly used in the definition paragraph. But I have here only 6 examples, but there are a lot of signal words used in the definition. So the examples are is defined, or as defined as, refers to, means, to define, to illustrate, and so on. Okay, the next pattern of development that we have here is the classification or exemplification. So, classification is the method which one divides things into groups, classes, or categories. So, from the name itself, you are going to classify something in your paragraph. And on the other hand, exemplification is the method of providing examples and illustrations to further clarify or explain a concept or subject matter. So, to simply put, an exemplification is it presents the main idea in a general statement and then provides specific and concrete examples to expound it. Like it would give an example of something. So, let us move on to the signal words used for classification and exemplification. We have here after all, for instance, in other words, to be specifics, in particular, or namely. So, if your purpose in writing is you want to explain a category through an example or vice versa, you will be using the classification or exemplification pattern of development. The next one is description. Again, from its root word, describe. So this type of writing creates a clear picture of a single scene, object, person, place, or anything visible. It provides details on the idea by using either a sensory or spatial pattern. So, you know what are the five senses? We have five senses. It talks about our sense of smell, sight, touch, and so on. And then when it comes to spatial pattern, it's about the organization of the it could be the things or the the organization of the physical environment in the article or in the paragraph. So in the description, these are the signal words that you commonly used, but again, these are not limited to these six only. We have above, across, adjacent, to, against, between, in front of. Alright, so the purpose when you are going to write a descriptive paragraph is to recreate, invent, or visually present a person, place, event, or action so that the reader can picture, can imagine what is being described. So, again, it is heavily based on the sensory details, which are the sight, sound, smell, feel, as well as the taste. So, you would want to appeal to the reader's senses. Let me give you an example about the definition as well as the description so that you would somehow see the difference of these two. So, for example, you try to guess what the pattern of development is used in the sentence that I will be reading. Number one, a personal computer is a general purpose computer that serves as an indispensable tool for college students. What do you think is the pattern of development used in the sentence? Is it description? Is it definition? Is it classification or exemplification? So it is definition because the personal computer was being defined in the sentence. Another example, my personal computer looks very futuristic and eye-catching. Okay, is it definition? Is it description? Or is it classification, exemplification? Alright, so it is description. Okay, let us move on to the other. The next one is the narration. So you narrate something. It could be an event, it could be your memories or your life story. It could be something that you heard from your friends. Like it's like a chismis, right? But of course, let us do away with chismis. So narration, it is a pattern of development in writing that is used to tell or retell a story or a set of related events. Narration is an especially useful tool for sequencing or putting details and information into some kind of logical order, usually in a chronological order. So, I hope that you know what is meant by chronological order from the word chrono. So, we are talking about time. So, usually, if we are using a narration pattern of development, the order that or the sequencing that is very much useful or used is the chronological, but it's not limited to chronological alone. So in addition, you would be able to narrate events as in a useful skill because the narration could help you prove a point, which you can constantly do whenever you communicate with others. Like we are always doing narration in our everyday life without really realizing that it's already narration. So when you read narrative text, you should take note of the events that happened in the story and how each scene was described through the use of vivid details. So, with the clear details that is being given in the story or in the article that you are reading. All right. So I think we have already talked about the first four patterns of development. So let me add something, of course. In narration, when you are, of course, your purpose when you are writing a narration is to tell a story or relate an event. It is literature uses narration heavily, but it can also be useful in non-fiction as well as academic writing for a strong impact. So we have many examples of this pattern of paragraph development in the internet. So I want you to explore the examples. And in the next video that we will be having is the next four kinds of pattern of development. So as a review, the classification or exemplification is to put items in categories, to clarify comparison of items in a category, and to divide items by characteristics. We're in the description to give details and to create a picture to the readers. On the other hand, narration is it will give you the story. Of course, you would want to make a point to give background on people or event and to show sequence of events. And then lastly, we have the definition is to clarify meaning, to set foundation of argument, and also to give background just like in the narration. So, and when you are writing an article or an essay, of course, you are not only limited to one pattern of development. You might want to combine these patterns of development. But for instance, you would like to define a term. So you would be stating it as the central idea of the text. So you are using the definition pattern of development. Then in the body of the text, you would provide examples. So that is under classification and exemplification. And then you would also provide descriptions and other facts to support the definition of the term. Although the text includes a description, the reader will, the reader, will still be able to realize that the text is primarily concerned with defining a term rather than visualizing what it signifies. Okay. So, a pattern of development determines the central idea of the text. Again, it determines the central idea of the text. So, if you have many things to say about a topic and you cannot decide which idea to focus on or include in the thesis statement, you just have to recall your purpose in writing the text. As what I have told you, your purpose is your basis on what pattern of development you will be using in your essay or in your paragraph. So that's in that way you can decide on which pattern of development to use. Alright, so that's it for this discussion. In the next video, we will be talking about the other four patterns of development. I hope that you learned something in this video, and if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask during our Google Meet or in our group chat. So see you in our next video.